okay, if anyone joined the first time, I had to do this again. I don't know what happened. It like cut off, but I was only like a sentence in, so it's fine. Hi everyone, I hope you are well, or as well as you possibly can be. You are getting a dose of unhinged Jasmine right now. I did my eye makeup and then I was like, I'm gonna put on lip gloss and just go on. But I hope you are well. I don't expect too many people to be on here like live because it's very early Eastern Standard Time, but I had to I have other things I just had to talk about what's going on today because I say this with every transit, but this one is so particularly potent when it comes to honestly just being in a state of renewal and activation of just the limitless and abundant source of inner and innate power that we have. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why that is and what's going on. And I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it all over. There's no way. I feel like also because I have predominantly fixed signs. I'm meant to be feeling this quite loudly, but everyone's going to be feeling this. So I'm going to talk first and foremost about why Mars in Scorpio is that bitch. Thank you. Unhinged, that's all I can say. And then I'm going to talk about the new moon in Scorpio that we have coming up on the 4th of November, which are both just the most optimal opportunities for honestly being in a state of rebirth and transformation, but ultimately just activation of our purest and deepest potential. So Mars has been in the sign of Libra all this time, and it's in detriment when it's in Libra, right? Because Libra is something that's very slow moving and gradual and meticulous. Well, if honestly wants to be meticulous, but is rather just kind of lazy and wants to smell roses. Whereas now that the planet Mars is back in its home, its domicile sign of Scorpio, there's going to be such a shift when it comes to how we relate to action, how we relate to doing. And because Libra is a sign that sort of rules our relationship with what's outside of us, right? Relationships, justice, sort of nurturing our connections. It coming back to Scorpio, honey, it's time to be selfish. It's time to stop giving an absolute fuck about, and not in a way that is irresponsible, but rather how have I been outsourcing and giving out and dishing out my energy, and how can I bring that back to self? How can I refuel myself by returning my energy to myself? Because the thing is, right now, a lot of stuff is going to be coming into perspective, especially stuff that Mars and Libra has been sweeping under the rug. We're going to be faced with it in a much more healing nature. Me realizing that these 2 nails it's fine. But we're also going to be seeing the depth of the situations, and we're going to be seeing the roots of why it is that we've probably been acting from a space of survival instinct, right? In what ways have you been surviving in life? And also, in what ways have you been begging? Have you been asking? Have you been pleading? Have you been performing for? Have you been forgetting the fact that anything that you desire is going to find you as long as you radiate the knowing that you are already it, that you already have a limitless supply of it, and that it is not about chasing the bag or sort of figuring out a way in which you can perform to get the attention of the bag, but rather how can you come back to knowing I am the bag, being the bag, and radiating the bag as loudly and as assuredly as you possibly can. It's really coming back to what does it mean to stand in the knowing of your power. So I have some notes written down that I'll actually read because I'm all over the place. So yes, this transit is for the next 6 months. In this transit, you'll be finding yourself feeling more powerful, which we'll get into. Also more private, introverted, and secretive, which I've been feeling as well. I feel like I'm very accessible in a lot of ways, and I've been recognizing the fact that I kind of need to go into hermit mode a little bit. So if you guys are familiar with the tarot, then the major arcana, the Hermit card, which is sort of how can I just return to myself and just kind of go back to my laboratory a little bit. That's kind of the energy a little bit. Come back to not being as emotionally accessible, as energetically accessible. If you've been saying yes to everything, say no to a couple things and use that no as a time to just kind of be in your own energy, be in your own sacred space, and use that time to refuel. And yeah, being secretive. If you are someone who finds themselves to be easily vulnerable, publicly or within whatever social situations you find yourself in, now may be the time to keep some more things to yourself. And not because you want to be sort of aggressively secretive and keep people wondering in your mystery, but rather because having access to your energy is a privilege. Anyone else having access to your energy is a privilege, and we want to be more intentional with who we are allowing to have access to our energy and access to knowing what's going on in our inner world. So with that being said, I wrote this down. I didn't really know what I meant by it when I wrote it down, but now that it's kind of coming into perspective, what I will invite you to do is sort of like embody the energy of a knife, which is it's spooky season, and that makes a lot of sense. But yes, embodying the energy of a knife means keeping in alignment with the decisions that you make right now and staying sharp with it. And what that basically means is if there are people that you're realizing have access to your energy that no longer you feel deserve to have access to your energy, cut that off, and cut that off with assuredness, cut that off with the intention of it being a permanent cutoff. And the decisions that you make in this period, do your best to stick to them. Do your best to honor just your own personal truth and what you want to dedicate yourself to. Because the thing is, with our energy returning back to self, right? Mars and Libra meant what roles we play in our relationships. Who are we in our external world? But with Mars and Scorpio, the energy is coming back to us. In what ways have I not been honoring my power? And what ways have I not been standing in my truth and pouring into myself? And in that knowing, we do want to recommit. And Mars in Scorpio is really, really, really going to be that drive, that passion. If you've been feeling like a lack of motivation or stagnancy or just not wanting to do, having an idea of what you want to do, but like not having the energy to do it, honey, Mars in Scorpio is going to change that. But Mars in Scorpio wants to make sure that what you are doing is pouring into you and pouring into your evolution and pouring into who you are when you stand in the full embodiment of your power. So that means like getting that gym membership or like launching that thing that is a passion project for you, like whatever it looks like to fully commit energetically to what honors your truth and your like deepest, most potent power. Now is the time to do it, honey. I'm losing track of all of the things that I'm saying because I'm so all over the place. But yes, really recommitting to what it means to live selfishly, not selfish to the point where it's hurting anyone else, but selfish to the point where it is evolving and deepening your personal transformation. So like say no to more things, reel in the energy that you've been giving others, recognize and really be, because the thing is, honesty. Hi, thank you for joining, my love. Honesty right now is going to be something unavoidable. There's going to be a lot of healing conversations. If you've been feeling rage or anger, use that as an opportunity to redefine your relationship with rage and anger and see in which ways you can use rage and anger to transform and to heal. And like if there's something that's been angering you, look at the root of that and then bring that up in discussion with whoever needs to be brought up in discussion with the intention and initiative for change. But yes, what I was gonna say, reel back in, Hermit. Thank you. I'm glad it. Same. Honestly, I think Mars and Libra had us feeling a little bit uncomfortable with anger a little bit, especially because we were really looking at our relationships. And when we're looking at our relationships and anger comes up, we kind of want to like not look at that. But right now, Mars and Scorpio is saying, no, why does that shit make you angry? Because anger and rage is what brings change, right? And this is on a personal level, on a relational level, but also like on a collective level. There are like social justice things or just whatever is going on a collective, public, political level that you feel passionate about. Now is the time to actually do something about it. Mars and Scorpio is going to really like light the collective energy on motherfucking fire. And we love it. We love this for us. But yes, this is me not understanding what I typed. Yeah, so basically get back into your bag, but recognize in what ways have you been chasing things that you can simply attract when you remember how innately powerful and how true your power is, and knowing that you don't have to sort of perform for or become or convince the universe that you deserve something if you come back to the knowing that I innately deserve this because I am this, right? So like if you are desiring a relationship or you're desiring a form of love, how can you come back to, in this hermit mode, in this hibernative mode that we're being invited and called to go into, how can you come back to the knowing of like, okay, if I actually recommit to treating my body as a temple and eating correctly and moving my body and exercising my passion projects and like doing the things that I know make me feel the most aligned with self, that is going to pour into me embodying the love I'm begging the universe to give me. It's going to invite me to radiate it and thus already be a limitless supply of it, so that it matches me vibrationally and that it finds me vibrationally and it ends up in my reality effortlessly. I hope that makes sense. Also, Mars in Scorpio is going to highlight the things that we're obsessed with, which is a difficult thing to navigate, right? I think we're going to probably be reviewing our relationship with obsession and with ego as well. You know, what's your relationship with your own personal ego? Is it helping you? Is it hurting you? Is it your friend or your foe? Where can you find yourself in the middle of that? But ultimately with obsessions, right? With Mars and Scorpio, just Scorpio in general is a fixed sign and it can get very fixated on something. So you want to look at, what have I been pouring way too much energy into that is ultimately and inevitably draining me, and how can I resurface, reintegrate, and reroute that energy to pour back into myself? This is selfish era. This is selfish era. This is really, really selfish era. But once again, not selfish to the point where you're putting anyone else in detriment, but rather selfish to a point where you are pouring into your own physical, emotional, energetic, and spiritual evolution, which is iconic. So once again, yes, using rage and anger as a force of healing and change and evolution. What Mars and Libra swept under the rug, Mars and Scorpio will now blow the fuck up. We're being forced to look at what we haven't wanted to look at, have the conversations we haven't wanted to have, but having it from a place of knowing that you are anchored in the knowing of how powerful you are. Me just saying words. If you are approaching these healing conversations and these emotions that are stirring up anger and rage from a space of knowing that, like, my rage is power, and how I alchemize and how I use my anger as a tool for transformation is inevitably going to bring me to a new level of self, is a really different experience. You're welcome, baby. Thank you. So yes, like I said, recommit. Mars in Scorpio is going to be like, if you've been feeling any form of stagnancy or just like, I can't do this, I don't have the energy to do this, Mars in Scorpio, honey, is going to give that to you. So really make sure that what you're pouring your energy into, what you're disciplined about right now, has everything to do with just the recommitment to self. I'm going to be disciplined when it comes to my work. I'm going to be disciplined when it comes to my spiritual, physical, energetic, emotional upkeep. Just how are you going to come back? Which is funny because like during Mars and Libra, I was finding it so difficult to meditate. Like I was not in my meditative bag. And with this shift into Mars and Scorpio, I'm really like, oh no, I'm going to go ahead and go back to this chanting. Also bringing up chanting. If there are any, because we're in Scorpio season, the veil, which is funny because Keeks, you were telling me about this. The veil is always thin, right? Because it's a veil. However, the communication that we have with our ancestors and the people that we know and connect with and are guided by on the other side is very, very, very seamless right now. So if you haven't been connecting or communicating with those that you vibe with on the other side, now would be the time to do it. I've been talking to my grandma, I've been talking to my great-grandparents, I've been talking to my ancestors, but most importantly, because I've been doing this workshop with Ikaru, I'll link him, he's incredible. In his Rainbow Temple group, we are doing like some Kali work, and so Goddess Kali, I think, is really, really, really gonna be like a really just like the best possible goddess energy to work with in this period, especially Mars and Scorpio, because she has everything to do with looking at suffering and fear in the eye and using it as fuel to further deepen our strength. And also to conquer ego in a way that like we don't demonize ego, but we hold its hand and it helps us instead of like it being our why, and just all this stuff. So yes, if you are looking for someone or like a goddess or sort of like an archetype to work with under this astro cosmic weather, Goddess Kali is definitely that bitch. But otherwise, let me see what other notes that I have. Release obsession. Find solace in your spiritual protection. So definitely, oh yeah, and this note is incredibly important. Sex magic is huge right now. Scorpio season, new moon in Scorpio, Mars in Scorpio. Whoever you are sharing your body with, honey, go ahead and share it. But if you're not already being intentional with it, just be overwhelmingly intentional with who it is you are sharing any sexual ties with. And on that note, if you feel like you are in a space where you are still carrying energy from past sexual partners, doing a cord cutting ritual, whether someone does it for you or you do it for yourself, now would be a really potent time to do that. Sexual energy stays stored in us, in our sacral chakras, and it manifests. It can sometimes manifest as blockages, or it can help us propel forward. It depends on how you use it and who you are using it with, and if the person that you are sharing that with is at a vibrational frequency that it's a whole thing. The point is that just really be intentional about that. And yes, and I've been mainly talking about Mars and Scorpio, but honestly, this new moon in Scorpio that's coming up is really, really, really huge in terms of like our relationship to change. I mean, I feel like we throw around the term death and rebirth a lot, but this is when it's like probably the most accurate, especially because this new moon in Scorpio is opposing Uranus, which is a planet, Uranus, however you perform it, darling. It's a planet that rules sudden or unexpected change. So not only expect sudden and physical unexpected change, like on an external level, but allow yourself to shift perspective. Allow yourself to step into a new embodiment of self. Name this era for you. What era are you stepping into? Is it your villain era? Is your Carrie Bradshaw era? What is this new era that you're stepping into? And allow yourself to be okay with the fact that like what you've known about life in a day-to-day and how you've related to your own emotions is going to change. So conquer your demons. Trust that wherever your path is shifting to is for your highest and greatest good. Check your obsessions. Check what you've been pouring too much energy into, and allow yourself to cut off people, to make decisions, to commit to these decisions with full tenacity, because this Scorpio Mars is really going to be like, it's like lighting a fire under you. But we want to make sure that we're using this fire to not be destructive, but rather to destroy what no longer honors our evolution. Use rage and anger as a force of healing and change. Reel back your energy. Whatever you have been giving too much energy to that hasn't had anything to do with you, return to self. People, places, things, mind, ways of thinking. And yeah, that's basically the gist of it. Once again, I am fully unhinged. And I think this has everything to do with like, whenever we're in a period of and the period between like a big shift like Mars Libra to Mars and Scorpio, we're going to be feeling that. So if you've been feeling like antsy or like you can't meditate or you can't sort of stand still, know that that's sort of like the shift into it. But this is going to be, I'm like fully, I have let go, because I think that who we're going to meet ourselves as on the other side of this is going to be so deeply transformed, and I could be more excited for it. So once again, if you have a kind of a wonky relationship with change, now is the time to look at that. But otherwise, yes, I hope you are well. If you have any questions, comments or concerns about this astro weather, know that I'm here for you, that I'm experiencing all of it alongside you. I'll be doing a new moon ritual class on the 4th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time if you'd like to join that. But otherwise, yeah, I'll leave you with this. How can you live life as a knife in these next... I'm not even realizing that was a bar. How can you embody the energy of a knife for these next 6 weeks? And that means cutting off people with no remorse, coming back to self, and staying sharp with the decisions that you make for yourself. Anyway, love you guys. That is all. I'm going to go eat. Bye.